What made you suddenly lose interest in someone you were pursuing? We were getting to know each other, and I realized she hadn't asked me any questions whatsoever. Like if we are really going to go to the effort of going out for a coffee date, then I expect people to contribute to their half of the conversation and actually make it easy for both of us to talk about each other and ourselves. Our second date, we went out for a few drinks. She starts flirting with some random guy to see how I'd react. When I asked her WTF was she doing, she actually wanted me to fight for her, an actual fist fight. I paid my tab and told her to find a ride home, then left. She morphed into an almost exact copy of me. My likes became her likes, my opinions became her opinions, my hobbies became her hobbies, and as much as I like myself, I didn't want to date myself. It was high school, and I had this crush on this one girl. Couldn't stop thinking about her. I went to the birthday party of a friend, in part because I knew she would be there. This could be my chance. An overpass, mixed gender birthday party at a kid's big house in the woods. There would be a campfire, maybe even some romance. I sensed my opportunity was near when we were all gathered around the fire after hours of partying. We were all probably going to pack it in soon. But first, a little puff pass. She didn't react well to that. For starters, she got really dopey really fast. Then, she crapped her pants. I don't mean that as a euphemism. She was giggling excessively. Then there was some loud stomach gurgling. Then there was an incredibly loud fart. Then she laughed harder and said, "Oh my god, I crapped my pants." She then laughed harder to the point of tears. After she stopped laughing, she wandered into the room where some folks were sleeping, flopped onto her sleeping bag, and passed out still with the load in her pants. As if this wasn't enough to kill my interest, she woke up the next morning and spent a solid hour getting breakfast, drinking coffee and doing other stuff before she decided to clean herself up. Last, but certainly not least, she just dropped her shit-filled panties in the little garbage can next to the sink in the bathroom that most of us were using. So I'm trying to grab a shower next to that. Interest officially rescinded. I realized that all she did when we talked was complain, non-stop complaining. Found out from a friend that she told people how weird I am and how much I bother her. Realized instantly I was that weird guy that can't take a hint. My dad had a stroke, and this girl I was seeing kept complaining to me that she was tired, feeling under the weather, and a bunch of other stuff. She just kept sending me these whiny texts complaining about every little thing while I was sitting in the hospital watching my dad break down because he couldn't turn the pages while reading the newspaper. Nice girl besides that. I hope she's well. I like this cute girl that worked at a mini market. So I see her one time smiling at me, so I start talking to her. She asks me if I watch Survivor, the reality show. I go, no I don't. And that was it. The smile was gone, and she lost interest in me. She would text back and showed interest, but when it came time to plan a meetup, there was always something going on in her life. I've since learned that a woman will make time for you if she really wants to. She stole from me when we were studying at my house. She knew I had a crush on her and that I would eagerly bend over backwards to help her with her studies in HS. I had a Walkman back in the day that they were in, and she stole it when I left her alone in my room to go and get cookies and tea. I felt so betrayed yet didn't say a word despite knowing where it was and seeing it just before leaving the room, where it magically was not anymore when I walked back in. It's been like 20 years and I'm still salty about it, not because of the theft, but by finding out that my crush was a thief and a scumbag, no matter how pretty she was or how nice she pretended to be when anyone talked to her. If we had dated or even become close friends, I bet my dad would have bought her a Walkman for her birthday. Her life suddenly revolves around getting high. If she isn't high, all she talks about is how she's going to get high later. I was gonna date up, and then I got high. I was gonna suck his dick, and I don't know why. Because I got high. Because I got high. Because I got high. Do. They were getting tagged in memes by their friend about seeing multiple guys and playing them, etc. Lost all interest immediately. Edit, just to make it clear. Her response to the tag was the following: I know. I'm just awful, but oh well, it's fun lol. One of my cousins has cancer. I cried for a while, and I had problems because I couldn't control it for the first days after I got the news. Then earthquakes hit my mother's town and killed an aunt, and half family is homeless. My crush sent a message saying that it was better for us to keep distance until I get over my problems. I'm glad we are no longer speaking. I'm finding out that she really is selfish. Not only did she try to be controlling, not only did she want me to go bare on our second date, not only did she try to tell me how to spend my own goddamned money and tell me how I'm allowed to raise my own future children. At 26 years of age, this crazy bitch still believed Santa Claus was real. Her boyfriend showed up, was very rude to the super sweet and attentive waitress, complained about the beer selection, complained that I didn't get my drink out fast enough when I was satisfied with when it came. Incidentally, I was invited to that same place by someone else shortly after and ended up with the same waitress. I apologized to her for the previous date's rudeness. She laughed it off, but my mouth hung open when she said that they ended up not tipping her either. I had a crush on one of my friend group for about 7 years. I'd asked her out and been rejected. No biggie, we stayed good friends. Last year a group of us went camping. At one point during the evening she pointed at the brightest star she could see and said, "Is that really bright one, the moon?" Crush gone in a second. She broke up with me, came over to my house, sucked my next door neighbor's dick, and then came back to mine and tried to kiss me. Teenagers can be ruthless. When I found out they liked me back, not interested in someone with poor judgment. I'd never join a club that would have me as a member. Went on a first date with a girl. It went great, and she seemed pleasantly normal. 2 days later after work, whilst waiting for the train, she calls me. I pick up, and she doesn't say anything except hi. After her not talking for a good 10 seconds, I initiated the conversation. She would just giggle and reply. I asked her why she was calling me if she wasn't going to talk. Carried on giggling. Told her I had to go and was somewhat put off her by that, but I could deal with it. The next day she texted me, "I miss you. I didn't want to tell you, but I really do miss you a lot." We had been on one date. I noped out of there. I realized I didn't actually like her. I just liked the idea of being with someone. This thought is the death of every single crush I've had in my life. She always had to be the victim. Whenever I was upset, she somehow found a way to make it about her. Him talking things like my dog dying or things going on at my work. Then I was too drunk for sex and she coerced me, but him the rapist, because her friend was telling a story about being taken advantage of and she had to one-up her. Fuck you, Anri. For the start I could relate, then this got awful. Seriously, fuck you, Anri. There was this girl who was really into me at the time, or at least she seemed like it. I wasn't really into her, but she seemed nice enough to give her a shot. We decided to go with her friend to play Pokemon Go, so we could walk around and chat, get to know each other, and do something we both had an interest in. When I get in the car she's dead silent, so I talk to her friend during the car ride, and the only time this girl says anything it's to make fun of what I was saying, or call me a name. It was real odd, but I had already left with them, so there was no turning back. When we got to a place with quite a few Pokestops scattered about, they decided they didn't want to walk and sat by 3 stops and decided to just spin those over and over again. I didn't really mind at first, but this girl would not talk to me at all. She would just whisper to her friend and her friend would whisper back. This continued for about 30 minutes with me trying to make light conversation about the game, only to be met with silence until her friend spoke up to clear the awkward air. I told them that I didn't appreciate them dragging me out and just whispering to one another, so they started texting one another instead. I got up, told them to have a good day, but this was just real childish, and I wouldn't be staying. I heard them talk. When I started medical school, I was absolutely infatuated with this girl in my class. I always saw her across the room and thought she was gorgeous. Even now, she's genuinely one of the most attractive girls I've ever seen in person. About a week later we were in a group together, and she was immediately unbearable. She acted really ditzy and did that thing where she ended every sentence with an upwards inflection, like she was asking a question. I can't fully describe it, but my infatuation died in less than 5 minutes. She went from beautiful future doctor, wife material to would smash and not text back in a hurry. Even after 2 years of school it's still bizarre to hear her say something like I dunno. Based on the patient's reported chronic use of NSAIDs and otherwise negative medical and genetic history I think we should be suspicious of chronic interstitial nephritis. But like I dunno, you know? It's just a random thought. My brain is always all over the place, maybe I'm like totally crazy here. Good god. Nobody is going to call you a nerd for making insightful comments.